Hello, Nick. Thank you for joining me on Inside the Industry. I am so excited to have you.
Hi, Rachel. It's so good to see you.
Oh my God, it's been a minute.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to get to like dip in and out of Makeup Forever and when you were there and get you in some classes and some pro artistry moments. For those of you that don't know Nick, he is like, in my eyes, in my experience with you, master educator, but also like artistry and artist in your own individual right to the fullest. So I am super stoked to have you on.
Thank you. That means the world to me because that's what I've been striving for my entire life.
Yeah, no, honestly, and I know that bag. I get that feeling. Your journey is one that I don't think is honestly too familiar. I think, once we all get into the struggle of going for it, because you have that passion
Mhm.
and drive, I think we can all relate to that. But I am obsessed. We're going to take everyone from the top to the bottom with Nick, because his journey, I think, is just has to be
we need,
shared.
we need more time.
We need a lot. We need a couple segments on Nick if everyone's cool with that. I am. I love it. You are from New Mexico. And in that time there, I had no idea you went, you were a chef. You were looking to cook and get your
Mhm.
culinary degree, which you did achieve. So that's also just something you have in your back pocket, which I don't know if quarantine's brought any of that out in you to be like, I want to
Oh
dive
gosh,
back
I
into
cook
this. Or
every single day.
yeah,
Every day I'm cooking something. I'm like reliving my childhood because most kids
yeah.
watched cartoons on Sundays and Saturday mornings. I was watching cooking shows.
Oh my
So
God.
I'm totally reliving my childhood by watching all of these old cooking shows on YouTube. And
Yes.
then like every day I'm creating something new for myself or my boyfriend. It's a lot of fun.
You have to at this point, right? We're cooped up. We're
Yeah.
in it. God bless it. I was living with the chef right now. That would have been heaven. So I'm jealous. But in that time, it is insane to me. I do have a question because you went from doing that
Hmm.
and you were doing, being a chef at an opera house in New
Yes.
Mexico. But the
Yes.
thing that gets me is, I know you as a performer with doing some drag moments. I had no idea. Do you sing opera?
I used to sing opera. Yeah, that was my second degree. So everything kind of just leads to the next thing in my life. I do one thing and I love it and I'm passionate about it, but I always find something else amidst that. And then I grab onto that and go for that ride. So
Yep.
I have my degree in culinary arts and restaurant management. And it's an old degree, so it's probably invalid by this point. But I was working as a private cook for the Opera House in Santa Fe, which is the most like beautiful, prestigious opera house I've ever worked at or been to.
I was
It's
close. I tried to
really
get
amazing.
there. God bless you. Yes.
It's amazing. And then I fell in love with the opera singers. So I would prepare all their meals all day long for the performers and then for the guests that were coming. And all the while, like in between work, I would go sit in on their master classes and listen to what the teachers were saying. I would sneak backstage and watch the hair department and the costume department and the makeup department. And I was just
Oh
obsessed
no.
with all of it. So you can imagine like hair, music, makeup, costumes. Hello, drag queen.
Right. The making of. You're like, I have it. This is me.
It's me. So
It's
one day I
true.
just decided to go to opera school and I studied opera and sang for 6 years.
Big
And
Nick.
yeah,
That is a okay. Mm-hmm.
and while I was doing that, I found makeup and hair was a passion of mine. Mostly makeup. Hair's just wigs. I won't touch real hair, but wigs I'll do.
I am
Um,
exactly on the same page with that.
yeah,
Exactly. It's too real when it's really there.
yeah.
Like, if I mess up, I'll just rip it off.
And there's something like I think as a makeup artist or as a performer that you get out of doing your own makeup before you get on stage. It's part of becoming that character.
Yes.
So when I did old age makeup, I was always an old man because of my voice type. I'm a bass baritone opera singer. You can't tell from my speaking voice, but I sound like a man.
I was gonna say I'm gonna have to
And
make you sing for me one day because that is unbelievable.
so getting ready and putting on my old age makeup and learning highlight and contour and practicing on myself was so integral to becoming that character to get on stage and perform. But I also developed all the looks for everybody else that was in the performance and did makeup for them. So it was the experience of a lifetime. It was exhausting, it was fun, and it was educational.
Yeah. And it literally, pretty much set you up for success for everything was to come for you that you couldn't probably even imagine the
Mhm.
rooms, the places, the titles that now you've acquired, which are just astounding to me. Your dedication from early on stages and like you had said, where it's led you now, it's incredible how you've grasped onto makeup artistry and just taken it full tilt. So I'm not going to dive into, I know we went from Mac days way back and retail. What I really want to dive into, because like I had mentioned at the beginning, you are such an educator through and through. And the biggest thing I value about that in artists that not only, yes, you're out there on the physical streets working, but you have this ability to take your knowledge, share it with others, and you're very open and gracious with it, which I think separates those kinds of artists and educators for the ones that do have the knowledge or tips and aren't willing to share it, or they barter it, or they use it as some sort of hierarchy, like, look what I know and I'm going to keep you here. Meanwhile, you bring so many people up with you, and I value that immensely. Is there something that with you for education? Where did the love of teaching come from? Because I for sure do not have that, let me tell you. I do not.
It goes way back. I mean, I can go on and on for hours about everything, but it goes really way back, because when I was a little boy and I was watching all of these cooking shows, I wanted to have my own cooking show. So, you know, there's this 5-year-old, this 6-year-old, this 10-year-old performing cooking shows in his living room and preparing meals for my family. My little brother was like the waiter, and I would make him hold the towel and take the order. Like, that was my passion back then. So I think education has always been there for me, and I've always excelled in school. It's always been my priority ever since I was a very young kid. I was the oldest 15-year-old you ever met, because I was always studying. I was always doing something. I always had a job. I was always busy. And I think a lot of that comes from my upbringing. Both of my parents are the same way. They're extremely hard workers. They're caring people. They care about everybody. They're so loving. And that's kind of where I come from as an educator, what I experienced from the people around me. And I think when I met Danny Sands, it all kind of connected and fell into line. When I met Elijah Stewart, it all connected and fell into line, because she's like my sister. And we both grew up together from Vegas Mac days all the way up till today.
Yes, you guys have both your journeys. I love two of my favorites.
Our journeys are always crossing paths throughout the entire time. And I think we vibe off of each other. We have that similar nurturing, almost I was going to say parent-like energy that we carry with us when we're teaching.
It is. You create that environment, which it's like you're aware.
Yeah, and I'm aware of what you're saying, where there's other artists, because when I started doing makeup, other artists were not willing to share with me. They would charge you, or they wanted something from the education that they were providing you with, which is it's good. I mean, that's income, that's important, and it's their trade secrets, which I completely respect. However, for me as an educator, I have a heart for education, and my only mission is for my students to surpass me. That would be my one goal.
Sure. Which
give you the knowledge, and you go out to the world and you do bigger things than I could ever do.
Right. God, if I could have that in me. I gravitate towards people like you guys, because I'm like, tell me. I'm like, I want to talk about it. That's clearly where I sit. I can't always verbalize how I'm doing what I'm doing. I feel like now with quarantine, you had just said, I mean, many people, there's always been the online tutorial. There's always been the online ways to teach. And now we're living in a very, very virtual, full-time online world.
Oh my gosh.
You're now, I mean, I'm fast forwarding a little bit, we'll tee back, but you're now the global artistry. I mean, literally, I don't want to mess up this title, because it's
it's okay. It's long.
It is a long one too. It's literally, I want to grab her. You're the actual, help me.
It's the Global Director. I say it every day. Global Director of Artistry and Education.
Right. Global Director of Artistry for Kevyn Aucoin, which Kevyn Aucoin, you can't really, I mean, what a pinnacle of a job. What an incredible team.
This is my dream job. And it's, I'll tell you, I mean, I've definitely earned it, and it takes a lot for me to admit that, because I'm that person that doesn't like to praise themselves often.
Right.
But I've earned it. I've worked my buns off, and I've had such a different journey from most artists. And I look at students like you, and I look at Kyle Harder, and all these students of mine that have gone on to create incredible journeys for themselves, and that's the biggest fulfillment for me, more so than like a money aspect of it, or me getting any type of anything from that. It's really about seeing you guys succeed. But I put in those hours. I've worked retail my entire career, in addition to doing some free.
You have put in days and hours, and it's like, as far as requirements, if somebody's like, who's deserving? You just get that flow, like 10 full.
Yeah.
And I feel like now, being in that role, and I want to get into what the actual title, what that encompasses, is having that directorial role, but I want to know what it's like for you now in the pandemic, and then I want to talk about because as far as now, I mean, you are constantly educating in their products, also different brand looks that you're creating for campaigns and such. Is that all still able to happen right now, or are you kind of on a full stop?
So it's all kind of changed a lot. So campaign video shoots, things like that, we're not necessarily doing anymore.
Right.
So in my educations, I'm used to traveling the world and traveling to different countries and different retailers and educating people through trade shows. All of those things have stopped. So now everything that I've done in the past, I'm still doing, but I'm just doing it virtually, similar to what we're doing now in a Zoom call. I'll book appointments. I'll teach one-on-one appointments. I'll do lessons. I'll do meetings with editors. All of those things are still happening. And then when it comes to photography, we're not really shooting campaign videos right now, but I'm shooting every single day a video, some sort of educational video featuring their product. So if you go to our YouTube channel at Kevyn Aucoin, or if you go to our Instagram Live or Instagram TV, I have a full library of education. So by the time you're done watching all of my videos, you will be a makeup artist, really.
There's education there. It's in the Kevyn Aucoin video. I was like, I'm learning, and I love it. And for people that know Kevyn Aucoin, which as a makeup artist, how do you not? I literally have his book sitting right here. I'm like, exactly. We got Makeup Faces, we got Face Forward. It's his tools in education. I mean, I'm sure there's no doubt. I mean, you read and grew up with these books as well, correct?
Yeah. So you said earlier, and I don't want to embarrass you, but you're quite young. You said earlier that YouTube, makeup is all YouTube and makeup is all on Instagram and social media. But for me, I started when there wasn't even internet. So God, I'm that age, and I may not look it, but I have a good doctor and I've got some good skincare. When I started doing makeup, there was really nowhere to get the knowledge. So I came up in a small town where there was no makeup school. There really wasn't even a makeup counter. I had to move to a bigger city. I moved to Albuquerque, and that's when I started falling in love with makeup even more. But we didn't have tutorials. There were no videos on how to do makeup. The only way to learn makeup was from your friends, from a counter like Clinique, or to read these books from Kevyn Aucoin. And when I first heard of Kevyn, it was so eye-opening because I didn't know that makeup artistry was a job. I knew it was a passion and it was fun, but I didn't know it could be a job or a profession. And then I saw him on the Oprah show. He's promoting his book. This book, you may not have seen this book. This is the original.
I haven't seen that one. I think I've seen photos, but I don't own it. I don't have that one.
Yeah, it's from 1994. This is Kevyn's first book. And when you look at it, it's like 11 by 14. It's massive. It's like a portfolio. Yeah. Exactly. Because he wanted you as a reader to feel like you were looking at a portfolio. And every supermodel, every diva, every performer is in this book. Even like Raquel Welch is in here. Like there's so many incredible people, and it's interesting to see them in this book because they're so young. Here's Linda Evangelista. You all know this image, right?
This is not, of course. You have to look at oh my God, the beauty. He just, the touch he has, and he was so before his time.
Yeah, and most people know this image, and it gets copied all the time, but people don't know where it comes from. This was Kevyn's makeup. I'm Linda Evangelista, everybody.
And we're taking notes. We're taking notes on this episode. Please bring it.
So for me, it's almost a full circle moment. That's why I'm saying this is the best time of my life, even though we're stuck with COVID, because I started with Kevyn, and he was my mentor, my educator, not personally, but through his books. And then I went through MAC. I went through Makeup Forever. I went through Sephora. And now I'm back where I started with Kevyn, but now I'm bringing all of this knowledge with me. So it's the perfect marriage for me because as a creative director for the brand and director of artistry and education, I infuse all of the things that I've learned working retail and corporate and all of those different roles into my education, into how I'm helping with product development or marketing and messaging. So I work with every single department globally on educating their teams, but not just that, also creating the story behind what we're telling as a brand and what products we're launching. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and it's almost like you've been in training your whole life for the job. With your love and passion behind it, it's like you were waiting for this shoe to drop, which I'm just so happy it did, because what a freaking treat. And I'm excited to see even more of what you guys develop and push out. It's a beautiful brand. I'm excited you're behind it. I do want to touch on, I know the education started there, which it is true. I remember in theater, I definitely read some stage books, but it didn't, I needed to see it visually. I needed people like you guys just reading it, which again is another skill set you clearly have. I do not, honey. I'm like, okay, read it and learn it. But I wonder your time, I mean, I'm biased because I went to Makeup Forever Academy. So I do understand as far as their teaching, their techniques, their philosophy behind makeup stands very true to me. That's my, in a way, full circle. But I totally understand what you're saying. What was your experience. I've gotten to meet her a handful of times, and it's literally always been as if I'm meeting a celebrity. When you're in the presence of Donnie Sans, I literally feel like she's just such an iconic artist. She brings so much. I feel like it would be similar as if you literally got to sit in front of Kevyn Aucoin, maybe even for you and your passion behind that being like, oh my God, his presence. But you got to literally be under her wing. I mean, you had years of working with Makeup Forever as well. I mean, like we've touched on, he's really hit all the marks on these major global makeup brands. What was your time like working with Danny? I know it's hard because French people are strict, honey.
Yes. It's interesting. When I first met Danny, I'm like you, like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting the creator of Makeup Forever. Not only the creator of Makeup Forever, she was actually one of the first creators to build a brand, a makeup artist to create their own brand. So she's iconic on a global scale, not just as the creator of Makeup Forever.
Right.
She's an artist. She's a self-taught artist. She does every style of art you can imagine, from sculpting to painting to body painting to special effects to beauty. She does everything. So she was like the queen of makeup, the mother of makeup for me.
Right.
And, the meeting her, I was always like nervous, so nervous. And she'll even tell you when I first met her that she will tell you that I was really shy and quiet and like hidden. And it's taken, all of that time to open up to her. But I think a lot of that comes from like being starstruck, but also looking up to them so much, and then meeting them and having them be so brutally honest with you, but it's for your own good.
Right. That's a hard pill to swallow, where you're like, I want you to love everything I'm doing. I want you to give me that approval. But in doing so, I mean, my God, even just working under Florian, I'm like, you are tearing me to shit. Florian David, teacher, for those that don't know, at the Makeup.
He's been a really good friend and mentor too.
Yes, exactly. And they're like, two peas in a pod. But it's hearing the critiques of your makeup where I'm thinking, oh my God, I did that. And then they're like, oh, this and this and this. And you're like, oh my God, I'm not anything.
Right.
But it's making you really push yourself.
It's so important because culturally we're so different in the United States. We require sugar coating. We require positive affirmation all the time. So when you don't get that, it's a shock. And honestly, you feel like you don't know what you're doing. When I first started with Makeup Forever, this was over 10 years ago, because was with them for almost 10 years. It was like, what am I doing here? Right. Do I even know how to do makeup? I went from being like a bigger fish in a smaller pond to being the tiniest fish in a really big pond. Yeah. And, everyone is like, no, you can't use this brush. You can't use this tool. So I had to relearn makeup from the base all the way up again. And the good thing is,
it flipped my world. It really,
a lot of the techniques that they teach they come from Danny herself. Yes. And Florian is the best to teach them because she and Danny have been together for so many years. Yep. But a lot of those techniques also are in Kevyn's books. Yes. So as I've been rereading his books over and over for years. And as soon as I joined the brand, I reread them and I was like, oh my God, this is one of the tenets of artistry. Like, this is already here. This already exists. Like, I knew all this stuff.
Oh my God.
There's so many parallels between the way he talks about makeup and the way Danny talks about makeup. Yes. And she loves and respects him. So when I was offered the job for Kevyn, I called Danny, of course, because super close. And she says, you know what? It's your time to fly. Spread your wings. You've learned everything you can. You've done everything you can at this brand. It's time for you to take on that next step. And the only way to do it is to take that leap. So for a brand founder to say that to you, it's pretty encouraging. And it's really emotional.
And I understand. I mean, I feel like sometimes in like real reality as well, as we know, sometimes Makeup Forever doesn't even get all the, I don't want to use the word clout for lack of better words, but the clout that they deserve as a brand, especially in the artist, really underground community. Especially when I first started it, I was like, this brand this is it. This is the pinnacle of what, artistry and understanding it. And I felt similar to Mac as far as their pro side and what they offered the community. But it's so crazy. So many times, even still, I'll mention to people Make Forever. They're like, what is that? I'm like, how do you not know? But when you know. And the people behind it, I mean, you working firsthand, me going to school, other people that have been involved in that community, they're so tried and true for the artistry above all, and the human being and what serves them best. And I'm just thankful for that, because it is a rare thing still to find within.
It's so rare. It's rare to have a brand that still has a brand founder. It's rare to have a brand that has an actual educational program, an actual global academy for makeup. There's academies all over the world. Literally, testing the products, so the products aren't just coming out of nowhere. Like, they're created by an artist, they're tested by artists. We use them in our schools. It's incredible. There's no real other brand that has that.
No.
It's really unique. It's really a special and magical place to be. And I learned so much from them. I think where some of these bigger brands kind of disappear from the public eye is because they came out way before internet and social media existed, right? Yeah. So all these newer brands that the influencers are talking about are new brands. Yes. And they talk about them all the time and they're all over social media, whereas the older brands were a little bit late to becoming part of that. You know, so there's a lot of that competition, and the people that are on social media are looking at following people don't necessarily get to see some of the most incredible brands, and they don't know the stories behind these brands. I know I certainly didn't.
Right.
When I started makeup, I didn't know about Makeup Forever. I knew about Kevyn.
Right.
But I didn't know about Makeup Forever, and I had to learn. And and honestly, it was my home for 10 years. I lived, I breathed, I wanted to make people proud. I wanted to grow incredible artists, not just for the academy, but for our internal team. So if you were a part of the Makeup Forever team when I was there, we gave you a full-scale education in makeup. And you left stronger than you came in.
100%. I mean, and it's a great segue because I know you also, with so much of your titles that people don't realize, when you're working in corporate or retail managing, and you help so much with campaign and designing, and I believe as well graphic design. I mean, you help with online setups as far as physically what things look like as an aesthetic.
I help a little bit. That we have a team that does that. I'm not good at technology.
You're not in the line,
but I definitely have an eye. I have an eye for looks. I have an eye for placement of products and things like that on a page. Yeah. But where I really help out more is with like the messaging and which products we partner together and how we tell that story.
I see.
Tons of face charts. I do write a lot of copy, and copy is like the words that you read on the website. They come. I've written the product knowledge manual for the brand. I've written the internal training for the brand. I do all these major projects. Hold on one second. The door is going crazy. I'm so sorry.
No, you're great.
That's the life of COVID and quarantine.
I was gonna say we're having a brief intermission.
You know, it's crazy. I don't get out of the house. I get out of the house to get some sunlight and things like that, but I don't want to go shopping. I don't want to be on the train. So I'm ordering Amazon. It's the worst thing I could probably do. But I need my cotton rounds. I need my makeup wipes because I'm doing a lot of makeup. Actually cheaper on Amazon.
They are cheaper, and I'm sorry. I know we're supposed to be supporting other things right now, and they're not the best company, but it's hard when they come with the quickness and the accuracy. You're like, I needed it, and I needed it fast.
And when you're on a budget.
Exactly.
Super budget.
And I like that you mentioned that, because with you working so much on, I'm going to differentiate it in my brain because this is how I think. It's like, okay, let's do it in corporate. And then let's do it like actually like pulling my kid around and working on the street making work. Okay. So freelancer, because you still are. You have a huge title, yet you're still out there doing the damn thing on sets and working and being very involved. How, with your schedule and with what your job asks of you at Kevyn Aucoin, how are you able to balance both? How does that work for you?
It's been a constant challenge my entire life. Yeah, because I've always been full-time in retail. I've always worked 37 plus hours a week in retail. Like currently I'm working 40 plus hours. And for me to have the energy to take on a task outside of that, a freelance job, is really challenging. Yeah. And I think some of my friends have done it beautifully. Like you look at Elijah, you look at Yvonne, they worked full-time jobs and they did freelance and they did all of these things. They just had more energy, I think, than I could ever.
Like, I don't have all of that in my bag. Cup is full.
And I'm an introvert by nature. So when I get on camera, when I talk to people, when I'm on stage, it takes a lot out of me. I give them everything. So when I'm done for the day, I'm like checked out. But I do feel that it's super important. And this is something Danny told me many years ago, that you should practice your craft at least once a month, at least every week, frequently. So it's super important. So for me, getting out there and doing freelance work, doing body painting, doing something artistic outside of my normal everyday job is my hobby. And to most people, they may think that's not really a hobby, that's your job, but it's actually my hobby because I don't get to do that every day.
The amount of, like you said, brain space, physical time, mental time that you're giving to Kevyn Aucoin and in that, global art, it's like I agree with you. People think I'm extroverted, but quite the opposite. I can be, but again, I feel depleted at the end of the day. There's only so much you can give. So to each your own, and how you're about to separate that and make that balance that's true to yourself. And I respect that, because you also don't want to push it just to say, look how successful I am. Look at everything that I'm doing. I think you're very cool for the fact that you're able to take both those positions and level it out for your own self and feel successful and in your own achievements, and not striving for what you feel you might need to show versus what you know as an inner accomplishment and like where you're established at.
Yeah, and I still struggle with all of those things, and I still struggle with finding the what is it, like the validity as an artist, because I work retail and I work corporate, and so many freelance artists don't have that experience and don't even like it or may not respect it. And for me, it's challenging because I'm on the fence with both worlds. And I always have been. And for years, I didn't think of myself as a makeup artist. I thought of myself as a retail makeup artist. And
it's weird that we do separate it in our world. I hate that we do.
It's two different paths of the same world.
Yeah.
Two journeys, two different paths, two different types of clients. Rather than working with one client individually, I'm working with groups of people.
Yes.
I'm working with clients in store. And I'll be honest, it's the best education you can get, because when you're in store, well, not anymore because of COVID, but when I was in store in Vegas and in New York, I would work with more than probably 15 to 20 clients a day. How many freelance artists get that opportunity to work with 15 to 20 clients a day?
And normal, I hate to say it, but also normal, you have such a range of people and women and men you're working with, from skin types to age to color to everything. And it really rounds out your wheelhouse as far as who I'm capable of working on. Maybe not pristine models that maybe somebody else is used to. Well, how hard is it to do skin when it's already, the canvas is clean, or you know what I mean? So
every client comes with their own set of concerns and questions and needs. And as a retail artist, that's your job, is to uncover what are their needs. How can I help you? I have all these different brands to play with and all these tools and products to play with to help you find what you need. And in the process, I develop relationships. I develop recurring loyalty from the same clients. I get the experience with every product and every brand. Like, it's literally the best education you could possibly have. It sets you up for success, confidence-wise, to do makeup on whoever is in your chair. In those days of having the perfect model with the perfect skin and the perfect face, those days are very few and very short coming, because more and more we're in that mindset of beauty belonging to the brave. That's one of my favorite quotes from Kevyn. He says that beauty belongs to those with open hearts and open minds that are able to accept and embrace beauty in all of its forms. So although he worked on supermodels and celebrities, nobody was perfect that he worked on. You know, everyone had their own uniqueness to them, and he brought that out. And for us as a makeup artist, of course, we want to work on Naomi Campbell and the most beautiful faces and the most perfect faces, because they're easy, they're fun. You can do things that you can't necessarily do with an average person. And they also know how to work the angles. They know how to work the light. They know
you're like, this photo is going to give
tell the story. But more and more, we're working with everyday people, and the clients and the visuals that you're seeing. I mean, look at Patrick Starr. He's amazing. He's not what people traditionally would consider a brand founding makeup artist / personality / all these things. He's broken that mold. And look at where he is. So people are finally becoming wise and open to the fact that we're all beautiful. And I love that.
You can see too that, like you're saying, brands and companies and large companies, I mean, it's slow, but they are expanding. They are taking the faces of their brand, and it is completely different than where it was even 2, 5, 10 years ago. I'm loving the wave. I agree with it. Beauty is for everyone, and who wants to do it and how they see it. It's not this one blueprint that we're using as far as what standards are. It's really breaking down, and I think for the better, not only for younger men and women coming up and growing up and viewing magazines and seeing themselves and what is beauty. It's not just this one thing that is not attainable, though it is still there. Though it is still the people that put out, you know, certain images of beauty. I
still get my Botox.
I'm here for the Botox. I need it. We are not talking about that.
You don't need it.
We need it.
I need a refill. It's overdue. But you're right. I think things are changing. Of course, you want to have a mixture of everything. Everyone is valid. Everyone is beautiful. Everyone is relevant. Like, you can't just select one group of person and only stick to that. It just doesn't work. And I struggle with that my entire career, because first of all, I'm gay. Second of all, I'm a boy. Third of all, I'm super big and large and like different looking. I have long hair, I have a beard, I have makeup, I have tattoos from head to toe. So I have to deal with other people's views on who I am just based on my appearance. So there's times when I've applied for working at prestigious brands that they won't hire me just simply because of the way I look.
And Interesting, Nick.
They're missing out because
They're missing out heavily.
look at all the things that I've done, I've created, and I can do for a brand. So, you know, for me, that's one-sided. Those days are very numbered because those brands are finally seeing the light, and that's the good thing that's happening. That's the light at the end of the tunnel that, you know, we've been waiting for forever. You know, when I started doing makeup, I was really the only boy working in cosmetics in Albuquerque at the time at the only MAC store that was there.
I was gonna say, and especially, I mean, you weren't covered in tattoos yet back then, or were you?
No, not at all. But I was fabulous. I had a full beat every day, every single day, a full beat, and I wore those really tight pants from Charlotte Russe, and I looked fabulous every day. And you know, people turned their heads every time I walked by them.
Did you get met with a lot of adversity, even within your job?
Yeah,
like at MAC, or MAC, I feel like was pretty accepting of all artists.
My team was my family. They're amazing. That first team that I ever worked with, I still talk to. Like, they're incredible. My first manager from 2004, 2005, I still talk to her. And that whole team, they helped shape me, and we created a family while we were there. So that's been what I've carried with me in every role. Every time I've managed a team, it's always been like a family. We're there for each other. We want to make sure everybody makes their goals and everybody gets to the next level together. So that's always kind of been my way of working. Yes. I do know of a couple times where management at the place that I was working at didn't agree with the way I looked, and they would come down and make comments to my boss, and she would put them in their place every time. She would stand up for me. And she'd say, on top of him being an incredible with client service and makeup and selling products, like, look at his numbers. He always exceeds his goals. So why is this an issue for you? Why is this
the issue? Exactly. And we need people to go to bat for us like that. And I do appreciate, with the way the world is gravitating and moving, that even the people that may not look like you or may not get the adversity that you do are willing to put themselves in the uncomfortable spaces to go to bat for you and make sure that that work environment is a conducive space for all. And that those people that are, I guess, a little bit more palatable to the boss or the hirees or whomever, that they're saying, no, I don't care. This person is valid. Look at exactly that. Look at the facts. Look at the things that matter that they're offering to this company. And let's see it for what it is. Exactly.
And, you know, and I think my tattoos they're not gang related. You know, they're very artistic. You've seen my tattoos. They're beautiful works of art. And
it's literal art.
I have an extremely talented artist, and it's living, breathing art for me, and I love it. And I help design them with her, and they're all customized. You won't find it anywhere else. Yeah. Yes, 100%. So for someone to make a snap judgment just based on that, or the way I look, or, you know, it's just
face value. It is.
It's so,
it really is nothing. There's no weight behind it.
There's no soul. Like, come on. We're
Yep.
past that, guys. We're past all that.
We need to evolve, and we are evolving. Do you see anything in the beauty industry? I guess, what's your favorite thing that you've seen being in it 15 years? Where, I guess, would be your favorite part of growth and change? It might just be what we touched on.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe it could be something even just as far as it being more virtual. Like, what have you seen? Because we have expanded a lot, and we are an ever-changing industry. It's not like even once we've hit a certain evolution of change, it's continually trending and getting on the new thing and the best thing. I guess, what would even be your favorite trend or place that we've hit?
Oh man, that's so hard. That's so hard, because I feel like every trend is important, especially now, because when I was young, I didn't have the opportunity or ability to see anybody that looked like me ever, anywhere, right? So you turn on social media and all of a sudden there's boys wearing makeup. There's boys that are like 15, 16 wearing makeup and teaching classes, and they have millions of followers and all these things. I never saw anybody like that growing up. So that's part of why I was always encased in a shell and super shy and all of those things. And now I feel like is the time, because this is the best moment. Everyone is involved. Everyone is having a good time. You can find somebody anywhere across the world to relate to, and to see them, you know, express themselves, and they look beautiful doing it. And there's this light about them doing it. And that's so magical. So I think now's a really good time in the industry. I think you're seeing more attention to diversity in as far as products and who they're for, not just with regards to Black Lives Matter and deep skin tone. These brands have been working really hard towards this for a long time to make sure that we're taking care of everybody. And it's a very challenging project. I think also there are representations of everybody, boys, girls, whatever, it doesn't matter. And in a world dominated by male and masculine energy.
Yeah.
It was hard for me to navigate.
I mean, for
I'm not that.
beauty, right? It's like I'm choosing a quote unquote, I mean, I would call it back in the old days, how people view beauty and makeup artistry. That's for women. That's feminine. That's this. And I do agree. The wave of expansion and even just gender roles and stereotypes and understandings, it's really pushing the envelope, as well it should. So I'm glad, and it makes me happy to see that even now in where you are, you're able to be like, oh my God, that's so dope. I didn't have it, but I'm so glad we're getting there. Because that's what it's about, with growth in the world and moving the direction it should be. That being said, is there anything, I know with it being such a saturated makeup world, and we're seeing all these trends and all these people and everyone's got something going on, do you ever feel like, and I know, like you said, it does happen sometimes when you're working and you're creating, whether it be, maybe it is in quarantine, or the once a month where you're like, I gotta just powder touch up.
Yes.
You know, come on, we're keeping it
warm in here. I'm human.
Yeah,
it's raining outside.
But do you ever feel like, what helps you fuel your creative juices? Because I know I'll fall in total slumps, and I'm just, I can't get it. And even just scrolling online and being like, wow, people are literally creating every single day. Why can't I get to that caliber? Where does that come from? And what, I guess, helps you on the days and the time where you do have that physical energy and that creative juice? Where do you pull from?
It's so interesting. It's honestly a challenge. It is. And I think now more than ever, you know, we struggle with anxiety. I've never had anxiety the way I have today. And that's
quarantine will give you anxiety. If you've never had it, you're going to get it.
Yeah, quarantine has really flipped the game. So to find the energy to be creative is really challenging, because I'm staring at the same four walls every day. So I think the most important thing you can do is exit your world and your mentality for a little bit. It's exactly what it is. In your mind, you're telling yourself, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. That's you telling yourself that. Nobody's telling you that.
True.
So you need to just escape that. Turn that voice off in your head and find something outside to do. Like Teddy and I, we go to the park and we'll play Uno for hours. Yeah. And it's so exciting. It takes you out of the energy of quarantine and the election and Black Lives Matter and everything that's going on. You need to take a break from that. So we do that. We go out there, we'll go for walks. We look at nature. I think that's one of the best things you can do to find your creativity, is to turn off your social media, first of all, turn off the internet, and go live in nature for a few minutes, for a little bit, even if it's just 30 minutes. I mean, your perspective, your energy, everything will shift, you know, so that's super important.
It's like, oh, there's no way. And it's like, no, really, truly, like, you don't have to force the creativeness, and exactly that, just doing quite the opposite. Living, breathing, doing, acting, that will fuel that creative juice. That will you to get in that space and being like, oh, I'm inspired now. I have something I want to just like lit a spark in my head when I want to create this eye, and it just it pulls. It really does give the energy to your brain to just juice it up.
Right. And I'm really excited. I can't share anything yet, but the Creative Bootcamp, my homegirls, are coming up with some really incredible tools and classes and sessions for how to find your creativity and how you survive as a creative person, a creative being stuck in a corporate world or in a COVID world. Like, where do you find those inspirations from? So they have some really cool stuff coming up. So shameless plug for my friends at the Creative Makeup Bootcamp. Like, tune in.
Take it. I mean, you can't not. I mean, Elijah and
Yvonne, tune in, because they have some really incredible things coming up that will blow your mind as an artist. They think outside of the box all the time. So I find a lot of creativity from them, just watching them and looking at what they're creating and hearing their stories. So I think that's amazing.
How do you know?
And it's hard to find somebody like that, because you look at social media and everyone just starts to look like clones after a while. Yeah. All the same. Yeah. So to find somebody that's just completely avant-garde and creating from the soul, creating from their heart, and trying to elevate the people around them.
Agreed. Again, the vibe is really, people don't the company you keep, whether it be on your personal level. And I'm so glad, because your boyfriend, he's a makeup artist as well.
Teddy's a makeup artist.
Like,
and we're complete different styles of artistry. We're different we're complete opposites, to be honest. But we come together when it comes to makeup. We talk products, we talk ingredients, what works, and all that stuff. But his style is very different from mine. And we've spent time assisting each other on different jobs. And, you know, it can be challenging, but it's also very rewarding, because you guys know what you like. We know what each other needs and what our likes are, so that we don't have to spend so much time explaining and asking for stuff when you're assisting each other. You just know what to do.
And it's the comfortability in a safe zone. I know how I feel when I work with even Kyle and I see Yvonne and Elijah and ask them all the time. I'm like, my God, you guys are married, and it's like, but you're business partners and you work together. And they're just like, honestly, it's the best, because that true understanding, that deep safe space, and just, I know you, I know what your creative mind is going for, and I'm here to push you. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm happy you have that as well.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It is amazing.
It's really amazing. It's the love of my life. And I never thought I would be with a makeup artist.
Right? You never do. You're like,
oh man,
outside of my industry, I don't want them to, no. But listen, if it works, it works. I've always thought about it. And then I'm like, well, I just don't think I'm a straight woman. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I need a dude that's he's probably not going to be into makeup. I have no idea. I'm like, maybe he'll work on set with me, but it's okay. My man's an engineer. He's close enough. It's fine.
He can carry the kid.
Exactly. I need a little bit of fanfare in there. Let's go. That being said, with Teddy, I want to touch on it for a moment, because it's a big achievement of your guys recently, with the Times, which again, in my opinion, I mean, Black is King, Beyonce's visual album for the gift. It really was, I think, one of the biggest things for the year, especially being, even without COVID, it probably would have still been like the highlight.
I feel like it's a moment in time that will always be remembered and revered and thought of. And it's an extremely important moment that Beyonce's done for the world. It's a gift that she's given us. And it's probably not a coincidence that the album's called The Gift,
Not a coincidence at all. She knows exactly what that woman is doing.
She's telling a story. She's telling history and heritage. She's asking people to push forward and move on to the next step. So there's so much inside of Black is King that is messaging to the public, saying like, we're all here as a family together, everybody, all colors. We're all from the same place. We've experienced a lot of the same things. And those of us that have had hardships need to push forward and find light and find, there's just so many beautiful messages.
There's so many messages.
It's all wrapped into this beautiful music with incredible styling and artistry and backdrops and all these things. So this project was the pinnacle of my life, I think, right now. Like, I never thought it would be something for me.
Nick and you and Teddy were involved. And you were on the makeup side of it, as far as body camp, but also beauty. Also working on beauty and they're assisting. Yeah. How was it for you? I mean, my God.
It was incredible. I thought that this type of job would never fall in front of me because of my upbringing and my journey and my experience. It's very different because I've not been as much in the world of freelance, and I don't have those connections to the artists as many people do. But luckily, I have really good friends like Renny Vasquez and now Rokael, who does Beyonce's makeup for the videos. They believed in me and they're like, yeah, we want you. So they called me that morning. It was crazy. It all happened the same day. They called me in the morning. Can you do a test? We need some body painters out here in New York. They didn't tell me what it was for, what it was going to be, or anything.
Oh my God.
So like, can you please create something similar to this? And I did it. And they're like, okay, we would like for you to be part of this. So that night I went to Home Depot, got a bunch of supplies. I called all the Makeup Forevers and all the Krylon, everyone, and ordered all this product to be delivered via Uber. And then I got home really late. I packed everything up, got into an unmarked car with tinted windows. I didn't know where I was going or what I was doing.
I'm dead right now.
With Teddy. I was like, Teddy, can you please assist me? Because I need somebody. I don't know what it is. And so he joined me, and we ended up, a few hours later driving into this discrete location, and they're like, here's the project, here's what we're working on. And we've worked really, really hard with the teams for a few days in the Hamptons, and then back in New York they called me again to do some beauty work for them. And it was just incredible. Like the contract, first of all, as a makeup artist, you have to read the contracts, you have to read the fine lines, you have to know what you can talk about. So there's not much we can talk about. But what I can tell you is that it was so rewarding to see so many artists coming together to create something beautiful, and that the leader of all of it, the orchestrator of all of it, is not a diva. She's a human, and she's so nice and so caring and loving and cares about everybody. And she's not only that, she's professional. She's on this phone looking at 4 different sets at one time. She's managing and producing 4 different sets at one time. She goes and changes her outfits, her makeup, her costumes, and goes into the next one. And she just keeps going all day. And her team believe in her so much. Her dancers believe in her so much that they do the same.
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing, too. It's watching it having not even been, you know, because the energy, I can't even imagine being on that set and what it exudes and fuels you as an artist and touching in that place. Watching it, you feel it. So I can't even imagine being in the vibration of it while it's live and happening. So I'm just so excited that you guys got to be part of it. Knowing me, I know you and your artistry, and I know you guys are beyond. So when I saw these names scrolling, and I was like, hell yeah, they better be on there.
Oh my gosh, I got to work with Michaela. I got to work with Argenis. I got to work with Nana and with Teddy all together. It was pretty amazing. We created like a little bond and a little family for a few days. It was really beautiful.
Yeah, it's like you guys can talk amongst yourselves, which I did like the point that you made about contracts. I do hope makeup artists, and especially people as they're growing in their careers, be really meticulous about reading your NDAs or your contracts, and be really smart. It's a big business and things are exciting to share, but your integrity, your word, and your value, and your really your word and what you're backing, you have to make sure that that doesn't slip up due to the excitement or the, you know.
Right. It's so hard. It's really hard.
It's a hard thing for people to not do it. Because even on smaller scales, I know I've been on set, people are like, I'm not really supposed to tell you that. Careful. Careful, guys. Hold it in. Do what you need. It will take you where you need to go. People always say, do the work and talk later. Just talk later.
I hid my cell phone for like a week. I didn't look at it. I didn't go on social media. I didn't answer email. I was just like off the grid. So I don't even have like behind the scenes images, nothing to show for it. And that's part of that.
Hard one. Yeah.
It's really important.
It's hard practice to learn and very important. And it just shows the caliber of artists that are involved in that arena. And I'm loving it. And I'm standing just like cheering you guys on. I do want to cycle back. I mean, I know your career to me, your dedication, everything you've given to this industry is like heart, body, soul, sweat, tears. You've really done it all. And I also just think you're still at a place in your career where there's just so much to come. And I feel like even just that recent endeavor.
I feel that too.
There's just so much more.
I feel like this is just the beginning.
And it's just, you're stepping into just more of you're just so aligned with what you're meant to be doing and what projects and people and opportunities are coming for you. So I'm just going to sit and watch and love every second of it. Is there ever any moment of you, which I'm going to flip the script on you, that you would ever be like, I'm not going to do makeup artistry my whole life? Or is this a lifetime? I'm 70 years old. I'm doing makeup. I'm in the industry. Or is there ever a moment?
No, I feel like I have this arc that I kind of want to achieve. I want to do more freelance as I get more mature, as I get older. I'm stepping into my own body and my own confidence.
Yes.
I would love to do more freelance. I would like to work with bigger names, bigger projects. I would like to creative direct. And then eventually when I come back around, I would like to either own my own brand or own a company or creative direct for a brand. I think that's where I want to go. And I'll do that forever. You know, I don't think I can see myself. I can't see myself going back to the stage. I can't see myself cooking anymore for other people. Like,
I know.
This has been my passion for so long, and I don't really find myself gravitating towards anything else.
No, it really, it's like true and tried, just like bleeds out of you and just everything involved in it. I am so thankful on that note for having you, for you giving us your wisdom, your experience, everything you've gone through. If people do not know Nicholas Lujan, please, God, follow this man. Follow his journey. Keep up with him. We're going to tag him below on all his things that you guys can keep up with him, his Instagram, Kevyn Aucoin Beauty, and so much more. Show him some love. And I'm just going to call you Kevin, imagine.
A compliment.
Listen.
It happens all the time.
You might be with it. Listen.
It
Nick.
happens all the time.
I love it. Thank you so much for giving your time and your energy. I appreciate you. And we will see you very soon.
Bye. Take care, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
You.